I want to first off just start with what BC says and then link into what Colleen said earlier, because from a movement point of view, if we want to do anything, we've got to G people up in order to do it. And so there's a kind of social psychology here as well. And so obviously the big kind of actions and the illegal kind of stuff, it did get a lot of support from a certain set of activists who were inspired by all that, right? And if it had been, as it were, Francion's dream, and there'd just be vegan education right from the start, maybe, and this is almost a terrible thing to say, because this is what Colleen says here, is maybe that's just not exciting enough.
I think there is an element of that. I think the problem is that people don't take time to analyze the actual effect of their actions, and I think people tend to kind of have a feeling that the kind of impact on themselves in doing an action somehow transfers to other people. In other words, if something's emotional, that's going to be more effective than something that isn't. There is that, there is that kind of confusion in people because they haven't sort of sat down and thought, well, hang on a minute, what is the actual effect of this? Analyze what the actual effect of this action is going to be, you see. And I don't think that kind of happens because I think people are kind of controlled by emotion. I think it's all right to be driven by emotion. I mean, I'm very much driven by emotion in terms of fueling, that it fuels me to constantly, campaign. So that's okay. It's all right to be driven by emotion, but if you're controlled by emotion, if it prevents you from like analyzing what the effect of your action is going to be, then that can lead people to do things that aren't the best, that aren't the most effective.
It's an interesting distinction, isn't it? Being controlled by rather than driven by it. It is quite interesting.
Yeah. I think that's, and I think that's the difficulty, because you sort of see people. I mean, you get these people that go outside, will go outside a slaughterhouse that's kind of maybe pretty much in the middle of nowhere and kind of hold boards and stuff. And you think, well, how is that, how's that changing anything?